All right. Today I want to talk about the sixth freedom, which, has been kind of coming together for me. So, what does that mean? What is it? And how can you get the six freedoms? So, here's the thing. In the world of entrepreneurship, here's what I've seen for years and years and years, and all the things that I've been through as well. There's this constant, ever ending stream of questions. There is this constant questioning. Am I qualified enough? I'm feeling underqualified. Is it wrong of me to be doing this? I get visible and then I hide, and I get visible and I hide. And I often feel out of integrity. Like, am I wrong to be charging what I'm charging? Because it just feels like too much. Like, who gave me the audacity to be doing this? There's other people who are doing it better than me, including my coach, the one who trained me. Why shouldn't I just send people to them? I'm perpetually confused, who's my ideal client? Who do I serve? How do I best serve them? It just is so hard to actually get the clarity on this. I don't want to bother anybody, but by asking, doing these surveys and researches and whatever, it's just like, I don't want to be anybody's space. It's just vulnerable as it is to be building my business. There's this, constant fear of disappointment because I've failed so many times. I'm so afraid if I fail again, I'm just going to get crushed, and then there's the voice issues, like, what's my voice? What's my brand? I don't even know what that is. I'd like to find out, but it's just, there's so much self-doubt. There's so much fear of rejection. I have been let down so many times by my business, and it's endless, and I'm questioning my purpose. Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Because it's not, doesn't seem to be working out. You're told, follow your heart and the money will follow, and it still hasn't followed. It followed for a while, now it's gone, and it's endless, right? And I feel like I'm not quite, I must be doing something wrong. Either it's my messaging, it's my funnel, or something's not working out, right? And for those of you who have been in business for a while, maybe you overcome this, and then your old strategies stop working, and all of a sudden you're back to square one. What's going on? And then you need to pivot into something new, and you're feeling like a failure again, and all the second guessing and the questioning happens again. Oof. Happens for everybody, and it's by design. Okay. The If the entrepreneurial path was easy, everybody would be succeeding, but number one, not everybody's doing it, and even less people are succeeding. What's the success rate? Maybe like 2, 3, 5% at the most. Depends what you consider success, right? But about 8% people make it a six-figure revenue mark. And I'm talking about revenue, not profits, right? Like, you see just how much people investing in their business, even of those who are six figures, like, they're barely making any money. So, this is all by design though. And the point is to overcome this. And by overcoming, I don't mean push through it. I really mean heal this and use the opportunity to heal the following things, or get to the following six freedoms. Number one, the freedom from censoring yourself and second guessing yourself and the endless self doubt. It's the freedom from opinions of yourself. Okay. So it's letting go of this constant questioning, constant confusion, and the energy of it. It's not the thoughts themselves, it's the energy. On the scale of consciousness, the energy calibrates at 180, and it needs healing. It needs going back to the original situation when this happened. It needs, the whole energy needs release. You need, you know, you need, not just telling yourself and trying to convince yourself, oh, I'm good enough, oh, I'm fine, it's going to work out. Positive thinking, affirmations. Affirmations have a very limited use, right? So that's the first freedom. The second freedom is from others' opinions of you. It's the rejection, it's the criticism, it's the judgment you're fearing. What are you afraid people think of you? When you put your offers out there, when you talk about your business, when you go on camera, when you ask somebody to be your client, is it that they'll think of you that, you are a total fraud, that you don't know what you're doing, that you're not a good person, you're taking advantage of people's money, that they, are you afraid that they will feel like you're taking advantage of them, right? Advantage of their trust in you. They just, of course, they just expected a free thing. Now you're the bad person about telling them they should pay you, you know? It's that. It's this wanting to look like the good guy. It's wanting to look like um you know, the everybody's helper, the good person, the one who has everybody's back, or whatever that looks like, right? And so that's the second freedom. The third freedom is the freedom from seeking respect and validation. This is a big thing. This is, many women have this. Everybody wants to look like the superwoman. I'm doing it all. I have it all. Like everything, the perfect relationship, the perfect business, the great children, and then on top of it, I go to yoga, I go to breath work, I do all these things, and I look great while doing it, in style, with nice long hands. And it's like, and at some point it all breaks down, because it's just us chasing some version of ourselves that is really not authentic. And then it's like, and then we run the other way. We just give up on any of the self decoration altogether. And it's like, okay, right? And then you give up altogether. And that's not the answer either, right? Self care is very important. But it's this respect seeking. It's this admiration seeking at some point that takes over, and you want to be free of this, because it's pride based, right? And it's really tough, because we all want to look glamorous, and we all want to feel good, and the nicest clothes and nice makeup and all that. And that's all beautiful. That's all, I love those things too, decorate once in a while, look great and all that. But when you are constantly performing for other people, that when it becomes really toxic. And we do that without even knowing we do that. I learned this from my mom. She would literally put on a makeup just to go take out the trash. It was crazy, and it was all the facade, it was all the pretending, and it was all this like looking a certain way to people. And I grew so sick of it as a child. I remember, like, she's a different person when the door closes. Like, who's this woman? Like, why is she so different on the outside than she's at home? And she healed it. She's a different person now. She went through her own personal transformation. But we need to make sure, on some hopefully not as intense, but at some level, we all do some level of performing when we show up in front of people. Okay. um, let's see. That's freedom from seeking respect and admiration and validation. The next one, you want, is the freedom to create your life and a business on your own terms that aligns with who you are. Oh my God, there are so many people who are like, well, this is going to make me money, but I wish I could really do this thing over here, because that's really where my heart is. I'm like, well, why don't you do it? And there's just some belief systems that, whatever that thing is, like, they cannot be provided for. Of course, there's industries where you're just going to charge as much. And of course, there's more profitable industries than others, right? I'm myself transitioning into something that is much less profitable, doing in-person retreats, right? It's a tough business. Like, when you deal with physical location, having to pay people and location and catering and accommodation, and having to have different facilitators, by the time you charge, it's like when you charge what you need to charge, it's like there's not a lot of money left on the table. It's very different from the online programs that I've been running, where the profitability is much, much higher. So I totally get it. And at the same time, like, there is this thing that is required, and it's trust. And it does feel like blind trust, but if you do follow your heart, the money does come. And it sometimes comes from other places than you expect it to come from, right? It's not linear. You are serving over here and charging, not, it's, your thing is not quite as profitable as the thing over there could be. And then you get inheritance, or the market appreciates your crypto or whatever it is. It's like you gotta believe and you gotta step into your purpose and you gotta have some faith that you'll be provided for, right? Um, so you get to, I might be crazy this way as a business coach to be saying this to you, but really do follow your heart. Buy the things you want to buy, invest into yourself in the ways you want to invest, run the business you really want to run, and trust. And yeah, I mean, right? What else is there? What's the alternative? Doing what you hate? I don't think so, right? Then the next thing is freedom from money fears and worrying about security and control, which goes so hand to hand to what I just said, right? I am somebody who spent lifetime worrying about money. It's also something that came from my parents. It was constant, there's not enough, right? And even when I was making a good chunk of change, right? I was still like always wondering, worrying, like at the back of my mind, it's gonna run out. Like, what's gonna happen? What's the shoe that's gonna drop? Like, what? And so it comes and goes in waves when you do that, and you get lots of money coming and you sabotage yourself. I have seen this over and over and over with my clients. Actually, this is so funny. It's so funny with some of the most successful clients that we have in the program. They're notorious for running out of money. Like, people are making hundreds of thousands. They're making six-figure months consistently, and they're running out of money. I'm like, how? And it's self-sabotage. It's money, that it's that manifesting itself, some of the money belief systems. And it's gotta learn not just how to make money, but also how to manage money, right? So anyway, money, freedom from money fears, worrying about security. If you're waking up every day and wondering how you're going to pay the bills, that's a lot. That's very intense. That's very intense. It's not, you definitely don't want to live in that frequency. You want to heal that. You want to be free of it. And that's not easy. I used to have these constant conversations with myself, like, how do I heal this money thing? And you literally have to start embracing the frequency of trust, which is a different level of frequency. You're not going to solve this at the level where it creates itself. You have to solve it at much higher frequency and start embodying the frequency of trust. Okay. And then finally, the last freedom is the freedom to lead your company and team without fears. Right? It's the freedom to be a leader. When we start leading a team, so many things come up. We don't want the people we employ or our employees, we don't want them to dislike us. So we just sometimes tiptoe around the bush. We don't ask for what we need. We're not direct with people. We don't say what there is to say, even if it's for everybody's benefits, because we are always in this, like, I want people to think of me a certain way. I don't want to be the micromanager. I don't want to be the too much in somebody's face, and so on and so forth. And it can cost us our business. Okay. So that's just the gist of some of the work that I do with my clients. The 6 freedoms, I think, are some of the most important things. Now, how do you heal this? What's the formula? It's actually much simpler than you think. Lots of people get very, very lost and confused in this thing called spirituality. And for me, spiritual work is actually very basic. It does not include sophisticated things. It does not include a bunch of tarot decks. And although those are nice, it doesn't include a bunch of crystals and essential oils and microdosing, any of that stuff. Although those things are nice, right? But that's a whole another thing. That's, the most important work is very simple, and it looks like this. Number one, it's awareness. It's being hyper aware of your resistances, your things, finding your patterns, looking yourself in the mirror. And that's, 70% of the job. And this is where I do with people a lot of pattern finding exercises and workshops, and have them continuously reflect and dig deep about where they're being held back, because nobody can tell you. You have to find it within yourself, and you have to see it, right? Then number 2 is releasing the emotions. And this is where, release and letting go, it's not what you think it is. It's really allowing then is surrender, right? Surrender equals allow. But what most people do is try to make it go away. Oh my God, I have fear. I have to do something to not have that fear. Let me do some self-care. Let me do some jumping jacks. Let me do some mindset work. Let me do some affirmations. Now I don't have fear. It's that is exactly the opposite of what I do with my clients. Number 3 is forgiveness. There's always some version of forgiveness. Either we're forgiving ourselves or we're forgiving the people around us. And what that does, it allows us to expand our heart. Okay, forgiveness is crucial. Like it's the one thing that cannot be really explained until you start doing it and you start forgiving and you start feeling the benefits and your love and feeling more love for people and things like that. When you stop forgiving yourself, when you first stop forgiving other people, then your heart starts feeling like a rock and you start feeling like you feel hardened and you feel like you feel cold, and you can kind of access the go-getter energy, but you can't access the love for people. So forgiveness is such a key part of maintaining high frequency and keeping your heart open. And your heart is a healing tool for other people, right? We all like to be in the presence of people with big heart. So if you want to be one of those people with big heart, you have to forgive. You have to forgive. And sometimes you'll have to allow your heart to break before you can expand, right? Excuse me. So that's step 3. Step 4, you know all the healing is great, but there's also a decision to step into a new frequency and embody that frequency. You know, we can talk about, letting go of the need for approval ad nauseum, but until we decide consciously, and you can kind of feel the frequency and you go, I'm going to step into the new power, the new version of me, and you can kind of see it, you can feel into it, and you can start embodying it, your newfound confidence and freedom and just ease with things. It's not going to stick, right? You have to aid it. You have to be intentional about it. Okay. So that's the formula I use. I use different modalities. I work sometimes with the Sedona method, sometimes letting go work, sometimes holotropic breath work, journeying, shadow work, lots of mirror work, telling the truth to ourselves, guided meditation, self-forgiveness, things like that. But that's, those are the things that I use. So, and the ROI to the business, it's like I cannot even begin to explain to you what the ROI is, because um, it's like, not doing this work and not having all these things that hold you back in your business, that is costing you everything. That is costing you your business, and not just your business. It's costing you freedom. It's costing you joy. It's costing you being self-expressed, not just in your business, but also with your friends and your family and with your kids and your spouse or your partner, right? Or it's costing your dating life, right? There's that too. So, for me, the freedom to be transparency is one of my deepest values, and it takes courage, the ability and the courage to be transparent. It is an acquired thing, but it is so important. So anyway, if any of this resonates, I'm going to put a link below. You can book a call with us, with my team. They're going to match you up with a program that works for you. And if not, that's totally okay too. And just keep listening to the podcast. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll end up working together at some point. You'll end up in one of our events and we'll get to meet in person. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on the next podcast.